Have you ever wondered who exactly constitutes a minority or a majority on a global scale? While we often think of minorities and majorities in terms of nationality, let's shift our perspective and take a look through the lens of religious affiliations. Our world is diverse and rapidly changing, and this change is driven by factors such as fertility rates, the size of youth populations, and the switching of faiths among the world's major religions. Using data from the Pew Research Center, we can delve into the religious composition of the world, which is categorized into 7 major groups: Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, folk, traditional religions, and those unaffiliated with any religion. The largest of these categories is Christianity, with around 31% of the global population identifying as Christians, followed by Muslims at 25%. Meanwhile, Jews, Hindus, and Buddhists are minorities on the global index. With 31% Christians and 25% Muslims worldwide, we find that Jews, Hindus, and Buddhists are minorities on the global index. The religious landscape of the world is under constant evolution. Factors such as fertility rates, the size of youth populations, and the phenomenon of people switching faiths are all significant contributors to the changing religious demographics. Large-scale migrations, often triggered by geopolitical shifts or economic opportunities, also play a pivotal role in altering the religious makeup of regions, countries, and even entire continents. Moreover, religious conversions, both voluntary and coerced, can significantly impact the religious composition of populations. For instance, Christianity and Islam, the 2 religions with the largest global following, have grown not only through natural increase but also through conversions. Also worth noting is the increasing number of people who identify as religiously unaffiliated, a category that includes atheists, agnostics, and those who do not identify with any particular religion. This trend, particularly prevalent among youth, adds another layer of complexity to the ever-morphing religious landscape. In an ever-changing world, it's crucial to keep an eye on these shifts and their implications. Despite being majorities within their own states, certain religious groups find themselves as minorities on a global scale. Jews, Hindus, and Buddhists, although prominent in their respective nations, make up less than 15% of the world's population combined. This paints an entirely different picture than what we see within their borders. Their status as global minorities places them in a unique predicament. They often find themselves at the receiving end of forced conversions, narratives meant to undermine their state's development and prosperity, and even acts of terror. Moreover, these communities face an uphill battle to establish countries of their own, as the world's majority religions continue to exert influence and expand. This discrepancy between being a majority within one state and a minority on a global scale presents a complex set of struggles that often go unnoticed, as the world's focus remains on protecting state-level minorities. The narrative of being a majority within a state but a minority globally presents unique challenges that often go unnoticed. The global majority often presents itself as the oppressed minority within different states. Quite an ironic situation, isn't it? Christians and Muslims, holding the majority status globally, often paint themselves as oppressed minorities within specific states. A classic case of the wolf in sheep's clothing, wouldn't you say? This is not to marginalize the genuine struggles faced by individuals within these communities in certain regions. However, the hypocrisy lies in the misuse of the minority tag. This tag is often exploited to disrupt state development and prosperity, to push personal agendas, and to play the victim card on the global stage. Ironically, the real minorities on a global scale, the Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, and others, are often overlooked or left to fend for themselves. Their struggles are silenced, their voices drowned in the cacophony of the so-called oppressed. It is time to shed light on this hypocrisy and strive for a more balanced perspective. Let's promote inclusivity, not divisiveness. After all, aren't we all global citizens? Exposing this hypocrisy is just the first step. We need to acknowledge that the world is not a monolith and that the definition of minority and majority changes with perspective. The narrative that paints certain countries as oppressors based on a localized view of minority and majority needs to be challenged. It is crucial to understand that every religion, every group deserves equal respect and protection, regardless of their global status. The struggle of global minorities, who may be majorities within their own nations, should not be overshadowed. Every state must unequivocally condemn acts of terror, with no regard to the religious affiliations of the perpetrators or victims. The fight against terror is not a fight against a specific religion, but a fight against those who misuse religion to justify violence. As global citizens, it is our responsibility to challenge these narratives and work towards a more inclusive and fair world.